And the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. One thing I wanted to mention before we did the moment of silence, I wanted to take a moment. Mr. Davey Camden, who passed away earlier this month, was a longtime teacher, coach, driver's ed, et cetera. And also Miss Margaret Moore, school board member who recognized. Thank you. Awesome. Good job with that. Right, board, we'll get an opportunity to look at the agenda. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Yes, so Margaret Morton, a longtime school board member, passed away earlier this year, and we would like for you to make a motion as a board and for the resolution, and then we'll read the resolution. Well, I'll read the resolution first. So we do the motion. Do the motion first, son. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Bear with me because there's a lot of hearing in this. Resolution, whereas the Margaret Board, a dedicated and respected member of the Anderson County School Board, past and lived life, and several years, demonstrating unwavering dedication to the mission and vision and our county public school. And whereas she was a force of nature and an exemplary woman of faith, kindness, and passion, whose presence positively influenced all of those with whom she served. And whereas Ms. Morton was deeply committed to the cause of all students and was a steadfast advocate for ensuring that every child, every day, receive the best educational experience possible. And whereas she committed herself to equality and worked diligently to support and uplift all students, ensuring their needs were recognized and addressed. And whereas Ms. Morton generously gave of her time and talents, attending school events, participating in professional organizations, and faithfully contributing to the school board meetings, preparation, thoughtfulness, and respect for differing perspectives. And whereas she supported her fellow board members and the school community, both individually and collectively, always striving to improve educational opportunities for each student. And whereas she approached even the most difficult responsibilities, including matters of student discipline, with compassion, and belief in the potential of every child, encourages students to learn from their experiences and recognize their worth. And whereas the impact of this movement leadership, service, and care will be felt for generations through the lives touched and the legacy he leaves behind. Therefore, be it resolved that the Anderson County School Board expresses its deepest sympathy to the family and loved ones Ms. Margaret Gordon, and honors her life of service and dedication to public education. Mr. Moore, come forward, please.
Okay, at this time, we'd like to recognize the teacher and support staff of the year. We had the banquet earlier this year, and last month, they were not able to join us, but Ms. Emmert, as you know, is a dedicated teacher here at Amherst County High School, was our support staff of the year, and I know she's here. She might go over. And Miss Mays, is she here? So these folks. Thank you. All right, moving on to 203, Students of the Month. So as I call those Students of the Month, if you'll come up, please, and you will get your papers from your principal later. Ms. McNerney was not able to print those today, so we will get those to your principal. So the first Student of the Month from Amherst County High School, Tommy Carver, junior at Amherst County High School. From AEC, Anthony Navarro. Amherst Middle School, Abram Picard. Ellison, Liberty Johnson. Amelon, Jacob Yule. Amherst Elementary School, Lily Brown. Central, Dustin Jamerson. Elon Allison Schumann. Madison Heights Elementary, Daniel Martin. Temperance Elementary, Asher Giles. From Math 24. He's quite the mathematician. So want to say thank you to these students. There are a myriad of things that these young men and women have done, and we appreciate all the things that you do for your school and want to thank you for being Students of the Month. I think probably the best thing, maybe board, if we could get behind them. We get set, bro. I'll stand there. Board members can stand. Good thing we had Miss Giles taken back and fit this over. Our staff of the month from Amherst County High School, Mr. Jonathan Olmsted. Yep, just like the students. AEC, Hazel Turner. Amherst Middle School, Kimberly O'Neill. Manellison, Christy Breedy. Amelon, Stephanie Martin. Amherst Elementary School, Jessica Witt. Central, Alex Lawhorn. Elon, Tori Alonso. Madison Heights Elementary, Betsy Thomas. Temperance, Naomi Giles. We'll have to get you to do it. Transportation Department, Jackie Moore. And SAO, Megan Short. A special thanks to all the staff members of the month. We appreciate everything that you do for them.
Dr. Evans, if I could, just like I say, when we recognize our staff of the month, you get recognized because you're doing a good job, right? But that, they just don't do a job, right? Their job is to make connections with students. It's not just about teaching them ideas, it's about making connections with them, and giving them a place that they can be a part, that they'll learn. And I don't know what your childhood was like, but I had a special teacher when we were growing up in Shane Pond. And these people that you see up here, that's who they. And so, educators, they mean a lot to me. Many of us on the board, and it's extremely important the work that they do. And so, I just want to extend a huge thank you to our recipients tonight and all the work that you do. It's so important, not just to the individual students, but to our community. Because these kids, if you're changing them not today, will have an impact in the future. Thank you for the hard work you do, and know it's thankless. I don't know the work you do. But I can tell you, this board appreciates hard work, the sweat, and yes, even the tears, but I know many of you. Thank you for your hard work and dedication.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, we also have with us tonight some folks from Winter Sports Recognitions. These are all state placers. We would like to honor our state placers in both wrestling and track and field. First, Abigail Eggleston. She is the first ever female state placer at Amherst County High School. Abby came in sixth at the VHSL Girls State Wrestling Tournament. Next, we have Wyatt Say. I think we know this young man. Wyatt played sixth in the boys state wrestling tournament. For track and field, we have AJ Thomas. AJ came in second in the indoor boys pole vault. This is the second year placing at the state tournament after winning the indoor state. And finally, we have Megan Tweedy. Megan won the indoor girls state pole vault this year. All right, regional art contest winners. Mr. Maddox is going to help me with that.
Okay, so these are the students that the Amherst County Public Schools, part of the regional VSBA art contest, that won here in our division. So first at the elementary level, Mr. Fletcher Tucker. At the middle school level, Miss Millie Hanson. And at the high school level, Miss Sadie Stecker. It was a really hard and a really close vote because there was a lot of great entries, so.
All right, Central Virginia Regional Science Fair. Mr. Neighbors had this on his computer, so. So Mackenzie Campbell and Madeline White. Went for Saturday again. Kinley Mays, Elon. Griffin Merritt, Elon. Ainsley Giles, Temperance. Basketball, community. Casper. And Mia Moore. Well, oh yeah, sorry. Margot Marcy. Mia. Sorry. This is, we didn't have the original list, so. All right, I guess. I'm sorry. Also board, Margot is the Grand Award winner who will be, representing us in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, that's it.
I think, public comments, do we have, anyone signed up to speak public comment?
Yes, sir. My name is Matt Giles, live in Amherst County. I'm the principal at Amherst and members of the board. You've heard from a few parents about our gym situation, and I thought it would be appropriate for you to hear from me in regards to the situation as well. Over the last few months, a few parents have come and spoke. I was made aware today that there are some steps in the right direction with our gym, and I'm happy to hear that. That's fantastic. But I do want you just to have a couple other things in mind. I want to focus on our gym, on our everyday issues, right? You've heard from the parents and they've talked about our issues at events, being very crowded and not a lot of places to sit, safety issues for the students as they're playing basketball, not a lot of room there. But we have 6 periods of PE each and every single day. We range anywhere from 53 to 68 students in that gym potentially at a time, especially on a rainy day. They're all in there, which can also lead to, when you're having foursquare here and volleyball here and basketball here, it could lead to safety issues. And I mean, we've had concussions this year. We've had in the last few years broken arms and wrists because of the distance between the gym end and where the wall is. If you've been in our gym, you know that that baseline distance is very, very minimal. We do not have an area big enough to fit our entire school safely. So when we do things like pep rallies and our incentive at the end of the year, all the great things that we're doing to try to get our students into an area all at one time, that's a very big challenge. And it would be great to have a space that could hold all of us at one time. Practices after school, basketball, girls, boys basketball, they have to share a very small gym. Puts them at a disadvantage. They're running hallways. They're not getting to practice the plays like a lot of our area competitors are doing with their full-size gyms that can be provided, auxiliary gyms, things like that, that a lot of our competitors have around the area. Archery has to come back and practice late at night, 2 days a week. And our archery program, if you follow any of that with the states, you know, Amherst, this area is a archery hub, and we want to continue those great things. Our health classrooms are modular classrooms, and they're not in great shape. And if we're able to build a new gym, we could use our old space as an auxiliary gym and potentially turn old locker rooms into health classrooms. This is an issue as it puts our students and athletes at a disadvantage compared to many of the school divisions around the area who have full-size gyms, and many have auxiliary gyms. It's also just a safety issue for many different reasons. Also, another thing too, if we did build a new gym, we could have a nice parking spot for that, and then we also help out our car ride along, which would be a huge help too, because that's an issue. So I appreciate you guys taking that into consideration, and all of you do. Thank you so much.
My name is Lauren Gallant, and I'm in Forest, Virginia. I am the lead art teacher in the county here, and I just want to formally invite you. I'll be sending an email tomorrow. But during the musical, we will have artwork on display from some of our students. So we welcome you to come out and enjoy the artwork. Thank you.
Sober District 2 dad. Hearing a Principal Giles talking about the gym makes me think about, yeah, we're dealing with some budget issues. And it comes to my attention that there's other things that we need funded. I learned that maybe next semester we're gonna lose a librarian position. That a couple elementary schools are gonna have a librarian. You know, I come to these meetings pretty religiously, and there's been so much hand wringing over certain things that are just completely inconsequential. That this board, we spent one time, I want to say half an hour to an hour on whether high school teachers could wear jeans. You know what I mean? Like, we're losing a librarian, elementary schools that gonna have a permanent librarian. This is the kind of thing that I want y'all out here in the streets 24/7 with a hat on the street, fund the librarian position. If y'all really care so much about these kids, stops. I've said it a million times in here, it feels like. The children are our future. It's the most important thing. And so I really want y'all to think about that. I understand that Amherst County is dealing with the budget shortfall, and they're having to have positions all over the place. You know, can we do it or not? But I say there's nothing more important than the children of Amherst education, and that we need to figure out a way So let me know when we're gonna be out in the Food Line parking lot with the guitar, raising some funds for the librarian position, because I'll be there, y'all. Peace and love, thank you.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Then we head out Casey to review the items on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Speaking of it,
So quickly, I'd like to just call up our two new principals in the division. Just Margaret Johnson will be the new principal at the Nelson Middle School.
Dr. Jessica Barber Johnson, and I'm just very thankful for the opportunity to take what I've learned over the last 22 years and bring it to Amherst County. And I'm excited to get started. I've already met the faculty, been included in some emails and stuff. So I'm planning to go visit next week, I think, or the week after. So I'm just thankful for the opportunity and looking forward to being a Trojan. Thank you.
And our new principal at Amherst Middle School, a name that we know, who's currently assistant principal at Amherst County High School, Ms. L'Oreal.
I just want to thank the board and the committee and everybody who's been around to support me with all my growth here in Amherst County. I'm really excited and looking forward to joining Amherst Cougars as not just a parent now, but as their principal.
Thank you. We go to Division 12 staff. Go first. Sorry about that.
Oh, things we had in the past before spring break, we had a pep rally, everybody was really, we had a powder puff volleyball game, imagine it in the past, sounds very exciting. Things we have coming up, we have our Golden Day ceremony, the 20th, which is next Monday night. Also, elementary school walkthroughs, they'll be on May 1st, which obviously with this sounding. Guess we listen to days. Final senior breakfast will be, and after that, we'll group the happy hour. And, so.
So one of the most in the county that I actually had to visit personally and judge was the national report competition at NLR. So that was really amazing because I myself also competed in that competition when I was I also was able to present elementary and middle science fairs that was back in the auditorium. So that was really cool to see all the various projects and speakers and what they did. When I lived in high school was they giving large students so that they can spend the day volunteering about the community. This is how they did the student. And why does I actually able to finally do the public? About a month ago, and they were telling us about things that were doing together, as a lot of things, just to the environment nice.
Can we get the date and the time again on the Golden Day ceremony?
It's not something like me.
basically learning also shared that with y'all in the calendar that we have.
All right, let's move on to 6.1, accountability measures.
Mr. Chair, members of the board. A few quick updates for you this evening. We finally received approval for all of our school improvement materials from the state related to Central Elementary School. So the multi-year school support plan as well as school improvement grant. It was quite a lengthy process. The first time we spoke about that was back in February, just after we had submitted it. I think I counted 6 different revisions that were requested one time. It was for 3 different periods. So it was quite the delicate process there at VDOH. But at the end of the day, we got approved and very excited for Dr. Profit. It's Central Elementary for the end of this year and into next school year. The memo that you received as a board in February still stands in regards to the description of all those activities. I'd be happy to send that or answer any questions y'all might have related to that process, but excited to get approval and start moving forward with that. So moving right along, we have our monthly standards report that y'all are familiar with. Again, just as in previous months, seeing that incremental growth, which is good. What we're going to see from here on out is going to be a much flatter line, right? So a lot of review, a lot of prep as we're getting ready for those SOLs coming up. Ultimately, as we've been going out and having those conversations, we've been engaging with teachers and administrators, just kind of seeing where we are here coming back off of spring break, making sure they have everything they need to be able to be successful moving into these assessments here at the end of the year. Our team in the instructional office will be spending all of our time out in schools over the next 4 to 6 weeks, doing everything from working individually with students to simply covering, so our administrators can be in the room, so our teachers can be doing what they need to do to make sure our students are here. Ultimately, good to continue to see again some of that small incremental growth in these areas, holding steady and continuing to see those higher percentages in green. And again, you can answer any questions the board might have. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I've seen the higher numbers, yellow and the green. But I do have a question, concerned about the reading. When we look at those numbers, they are significantly less. When I look at my green as compared to the others. So if you give us an idea what's going on there and should we be concerned about it?
Yeah, so I've actually been having that conversation quite a bit with our teachers and administrators, very much associated with the rigor of that HQIM. So we've been brought in with open board as well as HMA. High levels of rigor on those assessments, and our students are taking these things that are provided. Seeing some of that, not going to use the word struggle, but they're tough, right? The assessments the students are completing on a regular basis. So they're in that range and not looking at necessarily passing tests per se, but how they're performing on those individual standards within that. They're doing well, they're just not say, hey, if you took this tomorrow, you'd be ready to go in some of these instances. In general, I would expect to see about 70% in that green and orange combined. That means our students are kind of within distance, you might say, of being able to get to where they need to get to. Reading will primarily attribute that to the rigor of what they're doing on a regular basis through those HQIMs. When we have those quarterly assessments, growth assessments, we have students performing at similar higher levels in reading as opposed to those other areas. So that's playing out on those standardized assessments. We expect that to be the case at the end of the year as well. Yeah,
We can combine the two.
absolutely.
Well,
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, positive for sure. Yeah, and that's the comparison piece, and we'll do this monthly continuation. How are we doing responding to instruction? We always want to pair that with those quarterly assessments, making sure we're actually seeing that play out. It's good for the assessment. Responding to this.
Bigger, the material is higher than what the kids are gonna see in the SLOs?
That's been what we've been communicated with teachers, that this is too tough. is what we're hearing, especially compared to what we're typically associated with those over the course of the year. Ultimately, students are responding to that instruction, but yes, I would say rigor is higher on those day-to-day things that they're doing.
Is that the being taught isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can be. Because it can be off-putting to the kids, if they're, they get it, and then they just, this kind of learning process. That we look at, that process to see, like, where is the disconnect, and, is this gonna have a negative impact? I mean, we wouldn't have a rigorous curriculum, right? We want our kids to work hard, and in many cases, we want them to struggle. Right, that's life, and that's how we learn our best. But we don't want it to have the negative impact where it's too much and they're not able to just give up. So, just look at that. Is that what you're doing when you say you talk to the administrator? Can you give us a glimpse into what they're saying?
Yeah. So looking specifically at the conversation with the teacher, the beginning of your conversation with now, students are responding to in the beginning of the year with something new, as we would expect. There's a lot of frustration with that, a lot of confusion. What are we asking the students to do? Is this really the right thing for them? Those conversations have almost universally flipped at this point in the year, where the students respond in a different way. They've gotten into that mode. They're more familiar with how those assessments are structured, which is a big part of it as well. They're doing well with it. There's still some of that. We want students to be able to get what they need. Our students with disabilities, our students that are more traditionally level achieving, we're working on how that kind of bridge some of those pieces, make sure they have what they need to be able to get into those skills better. By and large, the feedback has been very positive at this point in the year. Students are responding very well to the big.
Justin.
Thank you, Mr. Neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to make certain I'm understanding what I've heard so far. So when we look at the yellow, that doesn't mean that 3/4 of our students aren't ready to take the SOL. Okay. So if I understand you correctly, our content is more rigorous, the standards are higher. So that 72% there is likely to pass the SOL because SOL is usually less challenging, we'll say, because an SOL generally is meant to be a minimum and we want to excel. The only question I have is I'm looking in the reading and in the third, fifth, I think, the first 3 lines, when we look at the percentage of standards covered, they're like a third of the content, correct? And are you saying that you think our teachers are gonna be able to cover the last 60%?
It's a little bit of investment with that. And actually,
Okay, thank you.
reflecting and looking at how we work the standard going forward. Every single standard possible is loaded into Mastery Connect, and that's really what that's reflective of, right? Ultimately, the test blueprint, not all of those standards are tested at most of those grade levels. So we're not trying to get to 100%. In most cases, we're already at just below all of the standards that get assessed. So from a pacing standpoint, everybody's where they need to be. No concern about not covering those before the assessment. But a little bit of a system component there, I guess you would say Mastery Connect represents a much larger swath of standards typically on the actual SOL at the end of the year.
Okay, so, Mr. Neighbors, are you saying that the total number of standards here, which says 85, is Mastery Connect, or that's our content, right?
Is our content loaded in? Yeah.
Mastery, okay, and that only the SOL is only really going to test on maybe 40 of those, is that correct?
Depending on the grade level that we're talking about in some situations, it can be significantly lower than you expect. There's a lot of SOLs, a subset of SOLs within one of those different grade levels. Not all of those end up on the assessment, and even when they do, some test blueprints I'm happy to share that would help you clarify, even within those groupings, might have SOLs with multiple sub bullets that are only associated with 2 or 3 questions on the SOL. So it's an interesting way that they construct it, it's kind of a little bit of a misnomer with this. Pacing wise, no concerns whatsoever with the teachers.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Board, any other questions?
Summer school update. I was hoping to have a beautiful memo for the board this evening. I'm still working with Dr. McGinnis and Mrs. Conich on several points. And I want to make sure that we are locked in on the financial side, as well as making sure we're responding to the current data we're getting in. We have been able to launch some interest surveys. So as of right now, we're just under 100 staff that are interested in participating in summer school, which is a great number for us. We're really, really excited about that response. Generally speaking, at this point in the calendar, we don't have an overwhelming family response, but so far we have 50 families that have responded. So we're very excited about that as well. Folks getting out. Obviously, that number will increase significantly as we get closer to summer school. And some other factors that play into students participating in that. If the board is okay, I would like to be able there to send that rundown to the full board to be able to do what we're looking at from a plan standpoint. I think answer some of those questions in advance of May. Once we get to May, we're getting very, very close to summer school. Send that information just as soon as we have it ready.
Board, you guys okay with that?
All right, for 6.02, Amherst Online Academy, this is a memo that was prepared back in February, included with those original budget books and giving a rundown of what this program may look like. As a reminder to the board, this kind of came out of some conversation that we started last fall, really looking at ways to be able to engage our students that are currently participating in the home setting environments, homeschool students, perhaps even some of our students on homebound for medical reasons. We get a layout of what a concept like this could look like. How can we staff it? How can we ensure that they have access to curriculum? What can we do to better engage some of those students that don't come inside one of our buildings out of it all on a regular basis? What we've done here and have tried to lay it out to make sure we're accounting for all the different components. From a curriculum standpoint, we initially identified Virtual Virginia as a good partner with this. No concerns with alignment, it's readily accessible. One of the things I appreciate the most about it is regardless of how you access it, at the elementary level, you have synchronous instruction from a Virtual Virginia provider, which we can pair with one of our teachers here at Amherst when we position perhaps we felt like that was appropriate for looking at them as a good partner, as they are well aligned, ready to take on some of the needs that our students have. Looking all the way through all of the 12th grade, there are different service delivery models available, structural delivery models available. For Virtual Virginia always seem to be the one who live rigorous and aligned content. I did provide a breakdown on what staffing could look like. Again, this is something that we wanted to put forward to the board and ensure that there was an idea of what it could be if we decided to move forward with it. There will be relatively small upfront costs in regards to staffing. So we're only looking at a couple of teachers at the elementary level as well as administrative support there for what this program would be. Ultimately, high school and middle school will be predicated on enrollment. Existing staffing, because it's so difficult to find those folks with the appropriate endorsements for some of those contents and work with those teachers on a voluntary basis to add to that schedule as opposed to bringing in extra staff. At the end of the day, we do feel like this is a very good model. This is something that we could use. It's scalable. We could reach as many as 120 students, we think. With the staffing that we've laid out here on the memo, I will, in full transparency with the board, say that at this point in the calendar, I think the lift is going to be difficult. All 26, just by the nature of how we move forward, first and foremost, with staffing, but also working with Virtual Virginia on curricula. So I wanted to get that out early in that initial foray in February, but certainly wanted to bring this back because I do feel like even with the board, this is not something we're going to move into at the first or the beginning of next year. Something we wanted to keep coming back to ensure that we're providing that access and opportunity to all in Amherst County. So I don't want to reiterate or read every single bullet on the memo here, but I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions the board might have. Thank you.
The staff requirements, which was first
presented to us, we didn't think we were gonna need to add any additional staff. Has something changed to where you had a lot more interest in the program? Do we have an idea of how many students might enroll?
Yeah, so at this point, we're releasing the whole of this. We have 74 students, comprised of different families that have expressed interest. So I do think we're in that range of what would help us with the APF, essentially maybe break even, pull that staffing. I think initial conversations will go around, we look at something like Virtual Virginia, they do have that synchronous instruction. So technically, we could allow that and not have to have that staffing, at least from our standpoint. For secondary, we would have that staffing. So I think initially it was access to curriculum. Ultimately, we want to make sure they're actually getting access to instruction from us. And I think that's where that pivot might have occurred from a staffing standpoint.
So if we, let's say this fall, we roll it out limited. Without adding any additional staffing, is that something we can do?
Something we could do, probably focusing more so on the secondary level and being maybe much more selective with the students that we're looking at, so the requirements there, and then being able to be relatively independent with the instruction would be a big. Simply provide access to the curriculum, so there would be a cost associated with that part. Obviously, if they're coming on and being one of our students, there would be a financial piece there from the ADMs, where we'd be able to certainly compensate for that. The concern always there is making sure that we have appropriate monitoring of progress, that students feel as if they have access to a teacher, to staff to be able to support that. There certainly is some of that through Virtual Virginia. I certainly always feel comfortable when we know there's one and somebody that understands our kiddos in our community. So technically, yes, I don't know if that would necessarily be the recommendation, but we could certainly do that. Absolutely. Start with whether or not we start this in the fall.
If things interest up, we can see where we go.
Certainly be possible with the way we put it out.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members?
Mr. Chair,
It's just,
thank you. So if we had Virtual Virginia, and we were not providing any additional teachers to it, if they were coming in once a week, twice a week, with Virtual Virginia, would we as a division still get the ADM per student? Because they're showing up online?
Yeah, so if we just say, so they would participate as our students that are getting in, we would just make sure we have that support structure for whatever they need.
So with Virtual Virginia, if, let's say we had 30 students, if we are not providing teachers, would it cover itself
From the ADM standpoint. yes.
from an ADM standpoint? Would it bring an additional revenue to the division if you have parents that are already overseeing their children's education, but they're choosing to use the Virtual Virginia offer through our division? So that would bring money in, correct, to the division?
Instead of just virtual staff support.
any other comments from board members? Yes, I'll just give my comments on it. My first comment is, given our current budget process, there is no way we could consider doing something that's gonna increase the staff. We just went through a very difficult budget process that we're still in. We're essentially not eliminating people, but moving positions around to meet our needs. And so I don't know how we could somehow figure out a way to come up with funds to add new positions. I think we need to take care of the people we have today, that are number one. Yeah. The second part of it is that, you know, I certainly want us to look at, we can support students that are currently homebound. I think we need to make sure that we are focusing and doing our best on the kids we have in front of us today. That's why you have a board that's constantly asking about, you know, where we are, or we can need them, you know, as it relates to testing. And I don't like testing. I don't like SOL. I think it's a great way to measure kids. We didn't have the SOL, but it's what we got to deal with. Students. We need to ensure that we're doing everything we can to support our staff in place today, and to provide the best process and curriculum that we can to our students. That's kind of my 2 cents on the matter. You know, if you get beyond that, and I'm all about, you know, reaching out in that area. I think we got a little ways to go.
Working on the implementation. This is brought as the video. We need to make sure that we all. So fast. It's a pleasure.
That's my understanding. The rest of the board. Yes.
I think when it was first presented, one of the desires was to provide a support for students who kind of got forced out of the school system because of anxiety issues related to COVID. And they weren't necessarily people that were looking for their children, but kind of felt forced into it. And so I believe the goal of this was to give an opportunity for those students to still graduate from Amherst without increasing a cost to the division, because Virtual Virginia, for your kindergarten, K through 5, is $2,500, and if you're getting 97 ADM, you're increasing the resources to the division. You're giving those students who left the division because of medical reasons, a lot of them, and stress, giving them an opportunity to still get a curriculum that's provided by the Commonwealth, still graduate as one of our students and likely excel, I suspect. So that would be my thought as far as, I mean, what kind of oversight would you need? Because Virtual Virginia does the monitoring, Virtual Virginia can provide the instruction, and Virtual Virginia tracks the work, if I'm correct. Am I correct?
So there's a significant component they assist with. I will look on the table to my colleague, Dr. Linda Rose, who did quite a bit of supervision. There is a lot that goes into it, especially when you think about if we're going to take that student on as ours, the level of monitoring required to ensure that they're making progress. We are counting an attendance component to that, making sure we're monitoring decorum and the rest. There is certainly an amount of oversight there. One of our biggest concerns, and historically, and I will certainly yield my time to Dr. Rose, she can speak from her experience, is our ability to support those students, because there are some students who do quite well within that environment, historically have. There are many, many students that haven't had that level of rigor expectation. And I think certainly could be a service and opportunity for the community, but is that component of making sure that students are actually where they need to be in the content, making that big progress, and don't need additional support to figure out what the oversight looks like in lieu of this current plan that we have. I am happy to bring back some of the commentary from the board tonight, a revised plan of what that could look like. I do think that could be beneficial just to kind of see what a, for lack of a better phrase, scaled back working if we felt like that. So a little bit of a mixed bag in regards to that supervision.
Well, I would agree with other members of the board who think we're not in a position to add positions, you know,
On top of that, you know, not just about adding positions, but with the additional responsibility that Mr. Neighbors was speaking about, you know, it's one of the things that when we went through our budget discussions, we made it very clear, Dr. Oden, that if there are opportunities and positions that were not fully engaged in work they could be doing, that we could consolidate, budget. My assumption is that that process was done. And if there's not really somebody floating out there that has a lot of free time, then we can say, oh, by the way, you're not going to be responsible for the homeschool program. Am I correct in that assumption?
One of the things I'll add, you know, this time of the year, being late, I think our intention is not obviously this next year, but we'd just like to know if we would like us to continue research. I think the goal of this would be to reach that population and actually be a budget positive, or at least a budget neutral. So Dr. Rose and Mr. Neighbors have done a lot of work on this. There are certainly some positives, so I think that our goal will probably be to do a little bit more research on this and bring it back to you next year to see if it was possible, and then continue to maybe do some more surveys with parents to get a little bit better idea about it, get it back. Purview for.
Any other board comments, Ms. Saunders?
Yeah, I agree with you. Continue the research. I think that's free, life free. And we can come back and hopefully our budget will be better next year. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I have two items to share with you this evening. The first item is a memo related to our Virginia Inclusive Practice self-assessment results. So this is related to a Senate and House bill that was put into place in 2022 that requires each division to complete a self-assessment and report those results to the DOE once every 3 years. So this would be our second time completing this assessment. So this consists of 10 areas that are related to inclusive practices within the school setting. And for each of those 10 areas, our schools are placed into one of three phases, either initiation, implementation, or assessment. So we conducted this self-assessment over the course of 2 months with our principals, utilizing some data that we had been able to collect during PLCs to avoid putting extra strain on our teachers to complete some of these pieces. So I have a summary of the results below. As you can see, we have several really strong areas that we can report on. What I'm most proud of are some of our areas where nearly every school is in the excellence phase. So our division-wide strengths were definitely student-centered decisions, meaning that the way we're using our resources, the way that we're making decisions regarding staffing and scheduling are focused on our student needs, effective use of the resources we have, and then also social inclusion and making sure that our students with disabilities are included to the maximum extent possible, both in academic settings and extracurricular activities. Areas that we identified that we can improve upon is definitely collaboration among educators and then sustaining inclusive success. So the plan for how we will address this, and some of this we've already begun doing throughout our professional development days, is some additional training for some of our staff on collaborative practices, prioritizing shared planning time as we develop the master schedule for next year to make sure they have time to do that work. And then related to inclusive success, some of the areas that principals felt were a need for them was transition between buildings when students move from 6th grade or from pre-K to kindergarten. So we've implemented a school-to-school transition plan that allows the program and the student services provided in the IEP to be continuous and consistent. But I'm happy to take any questions anyone has on that. Yes.
Looking at the various ones, mainly across the board.
Yes.
So we're not, idea,
Yes.
which, you know, doesn't occur with that. So So my question is there any consistency in ones that are making the bar
Even like a specific school, specific school.
maybe more indicative of a larger problem that maybe needs to be addressed?
When I reviewed all of the administrators' self-assessments, see anything where we had one specific school with multiple initiation phases or lack of excellence phases. There was a pretty wide range between each school. I can, if you need, get a breakdown of where each school rated themselves in each area, if that is information that would be helpful to the board. Sure. Yes.
There's one school that's, any of them that are bad, three schools are wrong.
Yeah. No, we had, most schools had very clear identified excellence areas and then potentially one or maybe two that were initiation phases. And the plan for us was to pair that principal with the principal at a school that was in the excellence phase for that area. So there's opportunity for collaboration and then any identified training that we're able to provide or support from my staff. We're able to provide that to them too, and also reach out to our regional partners at TTAC if there's anything additional that can be provided to those people.
Build the plan. with something. The only thing I would say to that is, you know, we talk a lot about we need to make sure that when we're doing that, that it's engaging. Right, and we're not just doing it to go through the motions. I mean, we need it to be effective and engaging so that our staff are doing this, listening. So how you do that, I don't know, and obviously, but it just needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean, it should not be something that's a additional burden.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Years, the teacher on the school, listen.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important. And we have tried to focus on any PD that needs to be provided. If it's, we're not including schools who are already in the excellence phase for that area because they clearly have models that could be used. And we're focused on the schools that need the support. And we're trying very hard to just focus on targeted groups. And again, engaging activities, we want to make sure that PD is meaningful and it's going to create lasting growth and change for those professionals. And our teachers have been able to provide input as well as our principals regarding what is helpful to them, how we can practice, and also keep things efficient and timely so we're not eating up all of their coding time. Absolutely. So when you report this to VDOE, it is a Microsoft survey, and they don't send you a copy of your results. They don't share them anywhere that I have been able to find. They follow up when we do our next 3-year cycle and show you what your results were at that point so that you can compare to your results now. When I was able to do that, which is just a self-comparison, we did have more excellence areas than we did 3 years ago. So I was pleased to see that growth. But they don't have like regional comparison or anything like that. The only way I can get that information is just collaboration with local directors, which I do, but we don't necessarily share like every area and data point that we got. Yeah.
Any questions?
Not a problem. All right, the second item I have for you tonight is the presentation of the 26-27 Special Education Annual Plan, which is our Part B flow-through application. So this is submitted annually to the VDOE with approval from both you and from the superintendent. And that is just our plan of how we are going to disperse funds that are given to us through Section 611 and 619, which is our grants for students with disabilities. So I have my entire plan here that is a lovely Excel document that you're welcome to look at. But I also have my memo, which just summarizes the amount of money that we're requesting for each grant and what those funds will do. So for 611, which is for school age special education programs, That is a request of $1,050,381, and that would fund 10 teachers and 10 instructional assistants. 619 is our early childhood special education grant. That request is $22,952. That is based on last year's awarded funding, and that funds one portion of one of our early childhood teachers. But again, I'm happy to take questions the board has.
That's accounted for in your proposal, right?
Yes,
I assumed it was, but I had to ask.
absolutely.
Is this something that you're asking for us to approve tonight or?
So it's due at May 8th to the BDOE, and this is our last school board meeting before then. So I would ask if you're able to approve that today, that would be wonderful. Up to the board.
Board?
I'll make the motion that we approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay.
Thank you so much.
So, Mr. Mayor, I did have a question, so let's get the last meeting, our conversations I'd asked for the next several months to include a report, information on our access with our Medicaid funding.
Yes, sir. So we want to speak to you about that as a component. I'll let Mrs. Notch speak to the documentation.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was some.
That's that this morning. In our financial report, we do have a revenue report and the Medicaid one shows the revenue that's been received. So we don't know, I'm not sure if that's what you were wanting or wanting something more of what's pending. I could add a report, just like we have the local receipts. I could do something that would.
I think what we'd like to see is like what we've brought in and what's pending. Because what was shared with us is that through what we're doing in the schools, through the best lunch programs would essentially pay for those positions. Right, which would help us in the budget side. The board, we need clarification that that is actually taking place.
Sure. So what we can do, the format that we had during our retreat was helpful. I believe we kind of laid it out that way.
Yes.
Look, we can look at something similar to that. Sure. You want to clarify with that, May, for that to, so with Mrs. Collins, for Dr. Hogan, to just make sure it's in the pocket, you may say, from the program safety, but we'll certainly.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe on a monthly basis, how much have we billed? How much have we received and how much is pending that month? Just so we get an idea of what we're billing for, how much we have coming in that month, how much have we received. Does that make sense?
It does to clarify the amount that we bill for. We actually want to break down what services we bill for as well.
Bill. I would like to see if we bill this amount, this amount.
Sure.
So that's to do some work over here with the CTE. And Mr. Ropes had a very busy spring break. And I'm going to let him talk to you about that and some of the great things that happened over spring break. Mr. Ropes.
Yes, good evening, Chairman and members of the board. So as far as construction at the high school, like I said, there's been activity over here on the ag lab and the welding classroom. Those are wrapping up. Not a lot of pictures to show, but there's a few more work to do on that. The ag lab should be finished up here in the next couple of weeks and the welding lab as well. The big thing we're doing, we're meeting quite regularly now as we transition to the summer and get ready to do the welding lab, which is going to be a huge lift. But we're working on that. Has to finish up like the front hallway and then all to CTE. That's going to get in front of the old auditorium. That house we pulled up, put VT down up here. So a lot of things going on this summer. Keep us active. Like Dr. Hogan said. But, Saturday night, but anyway, we made this and Emma Elementary. They both took part. They finished up the Tuesday, and we finished up Emma for Peyton Saturday night about 8:30. We're gonna go back and look at those. Definitely worth the investment. Those lots have been done for a few decades, so it's much improved. We added some spots at the Hamline, actually added about 30 spots at the Hamline. So we have to improve that market.
And in addition, we're also able to make a safety aspect of that. As you know, sometimes, especially at the beginning of the year, cars we're designing, probably going to get another 15 or so cars. So we're hoping that that will alleviate that, and then also better traffic into the buses. So there's a lot to that. So Mr. Roach did an excellent job on that. Give an answer to that. I know that both principals are ecstatic about that, especially Ms. Gray, because she did pick up several parking spaces that were working. So thank you for that experience.
In addition to that, I mean, during the week, like I said, they probably 75% of my guys were off, but in addition to those types of things, we get more quarters as well as cut five of the 10 schools. So again, busy week.
All right, so next, Mr. Chair, members of the board, you have a little heavier read packets for policy for first read. So you have one in there from myself, you have one in there from Mr. Gallagher, and then one in there from Mr. Neighbors. Additionally, there's one sheet in there by itself for the proposed changes to FMLA policy. So again, these policies come to you as first read. So please look at those, and then we can discuss whether or not we need to convene the policy committee. I will say a lot of these policies, although it looks like a lot of them have very minor changes. So that is one.
It's mostly minor code changes.
Even formatting, there's some that just change formatting. So, but some of them are FMLA one is a little heavier. So there are a few, but again, most of the changes are pretty minor.
We have an opportunity to review, and is there any in particular that you would care to pull out and send to the policy committee?
You can get those to us next month, that's fine.
Well, that's why I'm asking. If we're gonna send it to policy, then we need to do that now so that we can bring it back to the next meeting. Otherwise, it looks like we'll approve them at the next meeting.
I think in the last few years, sometimes what comes is the first read comes to us, and then when it's brought before us at the next month, sometimes if there are some that maybe the board wants to go deeper into, at that point, those are pulled out and sent to the policy committee, and then the rest are just approved. That's been our past practice.
8.03, you have the March suspension report in front of you. I did have some questions on that from board members. I think I answered those satisfaction. Questions on that? All right, 8.04, student services update. We have an update from the Best Labs. You have this in your packet. We also have with us tonight Dr. Smith. So if you have any questions, he is in attendance tonight. If you had any specific questions about the Best Lab, I'm sure he would be more than happy to answer any of those.
Any questions or comments?
And as you review that, if you have any questions, you can certainly email me and I'll give Dr. Smith and we can get back to you.
So the question we asked several times with the best labs is we still seeing a lot of the same students that are utilizing the best labs. And
Actually varies. So we have students that progress out of the program. We have a waiting pretty much at every school that we have best labs at, and they're continuing being filled. So to answer your question, it does vary.
students,
Yes, we are.
but
That's exactly right.
I do have a question. I'm looking at the pie chart. Where is it talking, it looks like it's time? Is that correct, or is that the number of students?
I'm not sure.
It says 12 o'clock, 9 o'clock. The next one down. Thank you.
So a lot of times during the morning, we're doing check-ins and saying how we're doing, we'll check in again at lunch, and throughout time, we're trying to do it during instruction time as much as possible. So we don't, like that, we're trying to do it if there's a instruction. Now, in the past, when you had other outside providers come in, that did affect a lot of the instructional time because they had to get their number of hours in so they could build Medicaid. That's why we're doing it. This is why we're trying to do it the least amount of time the students will be able to class.
So if I look at the bar chart that's underneath where it says number of students assigned to the best lab by school, it looks like we're serving about, all right?
Yeah, accurate. It varies. Some students, like we say, are going out of the program. Some are coming in. So it's around 100, 130 and even in between there. Serve all the students that need the services due to the amount of staff that we currently have, which I'm not asking for more, I'm just stating the fact.
Have you been able to reflect on the number of students that were served before with our outside sources in contrast to the number of students that are being served with our inmates?
We are serving your students in-house and we're serving outside people coming in because they were required 2 hours per day for certain students and 1 hour staying at their billing in, and it limited the number of students that they could see. So you have one provider coming in and they got to see one kid for 2 hours out of the day. So there's only 6 hours pretty much they can see kids, so you're seeing about 45 kids. Usually is what they would be, in the most would be 10, isn't what they would be allowed to do. And we're going well over that for the number of students we're seeing. As you see, what's in the charts, 26 to 30 is our range. I don't like to go over that just because I need it to be providing the support that are needed for those students. Is what the outside providers do.
So it sounds like you pushed back on it a little bit, but the comment is you said you didn't want to provide service to more, because then you wouldn't be able to provide the services they need. Wouldn't providing some service, no service?
But if you can't provide fidelity with our students, then that's, so we're gonna give up part of what we're doing with this. Serve here. So it's fidelity. When you look at something with fidelity, you don't want to do anything halfway. And we have had very good success with this program. You can talk to your principals, you can talk to your assistant principals. If we start making, let's set this back, let's do this back, then we're getting back to the same thing you're doing before. And I don't want to do that personally, and I don't think that's what Amherst County needs and our students need. That's just my,
Yeah, again, I wasn't
yes, I'm,
suggesting to do that. It's just when you made that comment, it made me.
Yeah.
You got enough.
get that, and we do, we still are doing check-in with them. They're really part of this, we've got other staff that with them as well. But we also have a behavioral team, WBCA, and I'm two RBTs. So I assign them to those students that can't be in this. We're still, but I can show you the number of students that they've seen throughout the year, which is a lot as well. I think it's like 78 students that they interacted with outside of them. So we're doing as best we can with what we have. I just don't want to do the fidelity of the situation. I don't want to start cutting back what we're doing with certain students. I think you're going to see adverse impacts.
Justice.
Thank you. What's the most time a student spends in Best Lab in a single day?
Usually it's no more than 30 minutes. It's around, ideally it's about 15 minutes. Some students may come in twice a day. So and the check-in are very limited. I mean, it could be a minute, 2 minute check-in, just to make things.
And that assists them with transition and assists them with keeping order in their mind, their behavior versus going right to the next and having chaos kind of be created, correct?
That's correct. It helps with transition. It helps provide structure and it helps for them to realize, hey, these things I need to work on, and it provides that input that they may need at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. All right, moving on, finance, Mr. Clement.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we are discussing the March financial report, so this is right before we get into the final quarter. The next step in our budget is waiting for the final calc. Unfortunately, that will not come out until probably the beginning part of June, but that will reflect our March funding ADM. The other thing that you will look towards in the next couple of months is another supplemental appropriation. And those appropriations are going to assist with some of the overages that you have seen on the object code report. We will be allocating additional money to the purchase service line, as you see on page 1, that has a deficit, and that's because we're going to be appropriating the additional Medicaid funds that we were talking about, as well as the child nutrition funds for the excess balance when they purchased the kitchen equipment for the high school, as well as some additional ESA funds for technology. So you'll see those overages, the EPSAs in the 81 cent. That will be coming to the board. I do want to just on the school operational revenue report on page 2. Now we will in the future have a Medicaid report, but I do just want to point out that for the month of March, we received 22,642. And the year to date, 1,230.
And was that for, prior year services as well, right?
We did have the prior year cost report.
And I only bring that up because as we look at, that position, I know there was some conversation about potentially expanding, Best Labs. I want us to make sure we're comparing apples to apples and maybe here we just brought in $200,000. That's not from this year. It's from prior expenditure from prior, requests for, receipts, I guess.
And there is a possibility that we will receive another cost report. Again, we don't recognize it till it's received, and we don't want to depend on something.
Right. Don't count your chickens before.
Absolutely. Do you have any questions about the March report?
Or, unless, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lukanich. So of the monies we just received, the Medicaid reimbursement, was any of it for this year or was it any of it for last year?
There was, a portion that was from the annual cost report. They do, reimbursements regularly. They have a quarterly reimbursement process. And then there's an annual cost report. So we did receive the annual cost report at the beginning of the year. I can give you that number. Yeah, the 22,000 would be the interim, but for the year to date, it does have, a prior year cost.
So we have received money for this year's services?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Mr. Rossi?
I had a chance to review the diesel fuel costs on my way in tonight. How are we looking for finishing up the year?
We are actually, I mean, it's definitely hit the budget, but that is one of the things that we budget high for. Hopes that we don't have to use it and that we could take those funds because it is in the same major classification under the transportation that we could get a third bus, which but we will be okay with, we'll also be okay with prices that have been, but we will be okay. Our second item today, and it's a budget update. Unfortunately, it's not an update on anything for next year's budget. But one of the things that the state did provide information on is that we have an opportunity for additional state funding. And they're basing that off, the state funds would be based off of the SSU funded positions. The state would provide for our locality, the state would provide $460,884. We do have a local match and it's based out there for public index. At a minimum, we would have to provide $198,935. The BDOE did hold a webinar this afternoon to provide clarification of the business rules. There is significant flexibility in the amount that the division has to pay and the timing. The one thing that they are requiring is the state's funds are going to come in this school year. And the local match has to come from this school year. So it has to come from this new budget. Either bonus in this year, or they can pay it in the subsequent year. And the bonuses can be used for retention purposes. Our next step is all school divisions have to certify whether or not they want to receive the funds. And that certification has to be completed by May 1st. So that is going to be before our next board meeting. So.
Can I get you Paul for a second? You said a lot. Right there, I didn't get it. Sure, the rest of my colleagues didn't get it either.
Okay.
So it's a local match of 198,000. And if we put forward the 198,000, we have an opportunity for a total of how much?
The total, well, it would be $659,819. The state would provide $468,884, and we would have to provide $198,935.
Budget.
From the current budget.
It would be a little over half a million.
We would have the state funding of $460.
But a total that we have to contribute.
We would have to contribute the 100.
Right.
Correct.
But I'm saying that the total we have is
To
used.
disperse, yeah.
Yeah, to disperse would be 650,000. And it's used for the bonuses, that's all it'd be used for.
It is employee bonuses. It doesn't apply to us if there was an equivalent, action taken on salaries that would end up, that would not qualify, we can qualify for that. So our option was to either decline it or to accept it. we have to certify what we're gonna do. But if it's, and our intent would be to certify, but we want to be transparent that we're not finding hands. We know that we have to come back to you and say, this is how we would fund the portion. But to do so and bring you forth the proposal of how this would be.
The reality is, if we, as a board, were to want to pursue this, what we are essentially doing is we taking money that normally goes over into our CIP. Say $200,000. CIP to roll into more over total of $500,000 bonus that we can provide our staff.
That would
This year, yes. And we have to, essentially what I'm hearing as well is that we need something. Because you have to certify a first.
the, on the call today, school divisions, I'm going to say this year, that a whole lot of kids around, we could certify they and come back to you in May with the proposal of like where we'll get the funding, if this is something the board wants to do. If it ends up that it is something that we do not want to opt into, we would just need the state will still send us the money we just have to.
Okay, so we could certify and say you want it and then back out later
That is,
and just send the money back.
but that would give us time to put together the proposals now that we know all of the nuances with the.
Tell me again, are the limitations who to get the bonus? Is it a certain class of them, but is it just as a few? position?
The intent is, and there's a lot of flexibility there, they were clear in their intent that they wanted it to go through all of your employees, all of the contractors.
Just,
Okay, so the money is based upon SOQ positions, correct? But they wanted to go to every.
That is correct. So they're basing it on a certain dollar amount, the SOQ funded, but they're giving school, in the past, there have been times when they have done this and the school division had to come up with a matching amount of the same bonus. And what they're saying at this time is, okay, we know it's the end of the year, money is tight. We're gonna give you this set of money for SOQ funded. You have the local match based on the SOQ funded. But you can take that combined money and spread it out over all the years. So it would just be a smaller amount than what the state revenue basis. Basically, the state is giving $1,500 per SOQ, but it is allowing school divisions to give less than that to employees so you can spread it out amongst all the employees.
now, this is there also discussion of a bonus this year's budget? Or is this what I'm gonna?
Yes.
Yes, the summer.
When did this come about? Did we just hear this today? Is that why it's all of a sudden?
It's been,
They just finally did the webinar today, so many questions.
This goes to my next question, I guess, is, I know this is short notice for you to look at, but how would this affect us long term on the CIP? I mean, that's what would, really that's the bottom line, right? Where's this money coming from?
I mean, it is.
What is the estimate that you think is gonna be the role?
Well, that is, dwindling as we also have the health insurance. So that's why we want to come back to, next month with a plan to show how we're gonna cover the health insurance. And not having to go in there and prove things, the board to approve it. Covering the health insurance, if you want to do this, but knowing this is what it's going to impact of the performance of that.
It's like a lot in the workplace. You want to get both of them. We also can't cut our nose on just by our face.
Yeah, I think that's why we go ahead and certify. And then that gives us a little more time to think through it, right? And then ultimately, if the decision is we can't afford to do it, then we send the money back. And so I think that our staff who's listening to this, that we, they come back and hear this later, understand that, we certainly want to be able to provide a bonus. It's a great opportunity. But we also have to make sure that we're looking at our overall budget bonuses and our capital and funding. Because our facilities are extremely important too, as well as our employees. I think as a board, every one of us is taking our report that around is. And so we're going to go into this eyes wide open and we'll come to the best decision that we can. Any other comments, board? Justice.
This is McCollum. Have we done this in the past? Where we go ahead and certify the government sends us money and we send it back?
I mean, the certification of the one that we've done, but this just seems to be so. At the end of the year, everyone's gone. And, the schools are prepared, school divisions are prepared to have this unexpected load. But yes, it has happened before. It's happened in times when we had the ESSER funds, and they would let us use those. This just happens to be a time when we no longer have those other funds that we can.
But I don't think we've ever sent money back.
Oh, no.
That's what I thought. I was gonna say, personally, I can't think of a time where the government's giving me money and I said, oh, no, that's not gonna work, and I gave it back. So
I
that,
just don't want to lose. And also look at the pension, they did state that you can use it for retaining your employee and just come forward with a plan, but also giving you like the most up to date of what we have in our CIP so that you're making that decision with all
so what do we have in our CIP?
that's what we're gonna come back. And just remember that it's not dependent on, closing out, we still have last year's. And so there's a lot of moving pieces and sessions. At our next meeting.
Just to approve the certification process or?
We just don't want to certify without the board knowing that is something we were intending to do.
Right, that's what I mean. Approve that to use certification or do you need consensus?
Consensus, yes, sir.
Okay. So board, they're asking for consensus, so let's just kind of everybody on board with that. It's not the final decision. If we decide that we can't afford it, then we would still get the funds, but we would basically turn around and send the check back after setting our bank account for a month. Yeah. It's a joke. Board, we have consensus thoughts? Not seeing any negatives, so we have consensus. Right, 10.1, Mr. Gallagher.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening. The first item today is our vacancy memo for April. You can take a look at what your HR department has been working diligently on lately. We have been very actively engaged in the hiring process. There are 4 of the positions that are noted that have been filled, in 7 of those categories, we have active interviews set up. So there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, in human resources, but we're working very hard to get these positions filled. But any questions you have, happy to take those.
Any questions for Mr. Gallagher? Thank you, sir. I know it's a tough, task. There's a lot of, professional positions and it's been up here for a while.
Yes, and they're kind of rotating through, but it's also an opportunity to say anybody out there is listening. There are still positions available in the best division in Central Virginia, so tell your friends and do apply. The next piece for us is a couple of reminders. Our Educator Appreciation Week is coming up, which is May 4th through 8th. We will be providing lunches to all employees that week, and those of you that have been a part of that, did that. We'll be sending you a calendar with the schedule of deliveries. We're looking to do Chick-fil-A again this year. And that way, some of you in the past have gone out to the schools and you've been present when we deliver the food and help hand that out to staff, kind of thank them for all they do, our amazing employees. So I'll send that to you as soon as we have that finalized. The only other reminder is that our retirement reception will be at Sweetbriar College Pro. We had mentioned that prior, but it is May 20th at 6 o'clock over there. We do hope that you'll place that on your calendars and be present for that very special night. So that's a very nice night to celebrate some amazing people that have put in a lot of their energy and life and all that work into the students in the community over those years and that's kind of how the school is. And those are my only other updates.
Scott, I got a question. Is there an online date by which we have to have contracts sent out?
There's not necessarily a timeline. We want to have, you would really like to have that before July 1 is an absolute drop, right? You're going to have people very uneasy, employees uneasy. We can't have people under contract. The longer we wait, the more opportunity for people to go elsewhere and so forth. But typically they're not going to get sent until other divisions are able to send theirs. As soon as the budget's finalized and we're able to do so, we're going to push those out. My goal would be hopefully early May. We really want to have those contracts out and have people committed and under contract. That's the key. And it makes people feel reassured and confident that they're going to receive a contract. I know at times that's been pushed into June even during some really tough times. And that was very uneasy for a lot of employees when they hadn't received contracts yet. We did end up sending out letters of contract assurance that year to make sure they knew that as soon as we had a budget, we'd be pushing those out rather quickly. So it certainly helps the division too, because then we know they're out there and we have people under contract.
Matters.
All right, first, I'd like to thank Dr. Crawford and his staff for hosting us tonight. So it's nice to use this new space. So thank you, Dr. Crawford. Next, I'd like to just recognize Ms. McNerney, who is obviously beside herself, but she's not here tonight, but she is at home taking care of her husband where she needs to be. But she wanted me to apologize to the board. I know that she is definitely devastated she's not here. Appreciate your patience with us tonight without her at the helm. So the first thing, budget update, I really don't have a lot of information. Mrs. Bunch gave you some information. We're hoping that by the end of next week, you'll have that certainly because as Mr. Gallagher mentioned, we want to get contracts. So we want folks them easy. The good news in this whole thing is that every division in the state is in the same boat. So it doesn't make it any easier. We have the day of giving.
The budget piece, so the General Assembly is supposed to get to it
Next week, yes, sir.
Hopefully they'll get their act together, but there's no guarantee.
There is no information there. It's been long about, all the superintendents or thing, I've been on the calls every week and they're almost at this. So I don't do this. So we're definitely hoping that they get something. Day of giving was Friday before break. We had a lot of different, students in different places. I know that, Dr. Crawford sent students all over. And anything you'd like to say on that day of giving, sir? I know that you had, several different things, so I'll give you an opportunity to speak to that one.
First and foremost, the day of giving is one of the best things we do all year. And I would argue it's one of the best things that happens across the state. Truly shows what our students are capable of. It's a day that, our students are able to go out into our community and provide service to other schools in the division or community members, churches, just various places. And it's an awesome experience. I get the opportunity every single year to go drive around the county and go look at all the locations and see what our students are doing. My own son is in the division as well at Central, and he talks about it nonstop. He talks about when the big kids come to his school and they come there and they want to work with the young kids, and he loves that. And I know that the rest of our young students in the division feel that same way. I'm excited that we have the opportunity to do that every single year. We had, I think it was over 600 students that participated in that event this year, which is half of our building. We had about 80 staff members that participated, which is well over half of our building. So it's just truly an awesome day. I'm always proud of our students. I'm always proud of our teachers and our staff members who do this, and just appreciate the opportunity to be able to do it every single year. Thank you.
And while you're up there, Dr. Crawford, would like to also mention something that Dr. Crawford has planned. So we're doing something with our seniors this year, a walk where they will go to their elementary schools and walk through. So Dr. Crawford, you talked to about that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
As I smile at Lamera, our senior class officers have been amazing this year, and they've come up with so many great ideas. The pep rally we had before spring break with the powder puff volleyball game, which Wyatt was a star on, by the way. Yeah, he was too. He can shake his head all he wants to. But they had that idea, and they came to me with that idea a few months ago, and it was awesome. At first, as a high school principal, pep rallies are tough sometimes because you put everybody in the gym all at once and just worried about things. But kids were awesome. They celebrated and they cheered for their classmates, and it was just awesome. And one of the ideas that our senior class officers have come up with is this elementary walk. They've seen it, I'm sure, on TikTok or wherever they've seen it. It's the idea that they go back to their elementary school and they walk the hallways one more time of the elementary school. They wear their cap and gown, and the elementary students stand in the hallway and they clap for them, and they see them in their caps and gowns walking down the hallways and celebrate these students. And the reason we want to do that is twofold. Number one, we want to give our seniors a great experience on their way out. But number two, man, as an elementary school student, how awesome is that going to be to see these kids walking through? And, again, I think about my own son watching all of these kids walk the hallways at Central Elementary School and, talking about graduation one day. I don't want to talk about that with him just yet. But it's just such an awesome event, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I can't say enough great things about our senior class officers. They've been wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Crawford.
Yes,
I think that'll be a good event, and I think it's great for the seniors. Many of the teachers that are in that building can see their students again, and I think it's just a wonderful thing. So good job to the officers and to Dr. Crawford for thinking about that.
And that's going to be on May the 1st. That's a Friday. And we're going to the buses will leave here at 9:15 that morning. So I'd like to tell you we'll be at a specific time but it's a lot longer to get to Temperance and Madison Heights than it is to get to Central Elementary. So I would say between 9:15 and 11 is when we'll be there, in case you want to. May 1st. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thanks again. Also, Dr. Crawford hosted the Elementary Science Fair this week, and that was awesome. I got to talk to some great students, several of our staff who were here in attendance. I got to speak to one young lady in particular who's and the project, so that was a great thing as a science teacher, ex-science teacher. That was near and dear to my heart. And then also earlier this week, I went to the MAP 24 competition. If any of you have ever been to that, wow, it is. Those fourth, fifth grade students and what they do with those numbers is absolutely incredible. I hadn't been to one in quite some time, but my son participated in these in the school. It was pretty impressive. Young men and young ladies, it's great. And then, last night, we here at the high school, Dr. Crawford also allowed, Mr. Crawford to have their first center. It has talent. So Dr. Wells and I actually judged that last night, and they had 11 acts, and that was a lot of fun. Some very talented folks on that. The community dinner was rescheduled for April 28th. The participation in that right now is actually pretty low. Brittany sent out a line today, so we may have to make a decision on Monday whether or not we have that, and we'll let you know. Smart Start in kindergarten registration, April 22nd, 23rd, something that we look forward to every year. And then Dr. Wells has been doing the trout releases. He has one more temperance tomorrow. And actually, the weather's been great. It's actually been a little bit warm. So been actually a little bit of an issue. I know in years past we've had cold weather. This year it's been a little bit warm. So I think tomorrow, instead of waders, he's just wearing his wading shoes so he doesn't get overheated and try to find some shade. But it's awesome to get those students out there. Some of those students have never been in nature like that. It's really an amazing program. I'm thankful that we do that. Keep that going. The Bass Spring Conference is April 26th and 28th. I'll be in attendance in that and Roanoke. And then this Monday is the Golden A ceremony. That's April 20th at 6 p.m. Brittany also forwarded you guys a calendar to make sure that there's a lot of events happening. As Jim mentioned, several things also. So just try to keep up with that. If you have any questions, just shoot us an email. The STEM senior internship presentations are April 29th. The NHS Golden Castle is April 30th at 6 p.m. CVCC graduation is May 9th at 10. The issue with that's unfortunately Mother's Day weekend, so I know that will cause some issues, but we'll try to make sure we have folks in attendance at the CVCC graduation, which also includes our STEM. And then, of course, graduation, May 22nd, and that is coming up very quickly. So lots of things on the calendar here, the end of April and May as we round out. So, you're welcome to participate. And it was nice to see a few folks here for the science fair and Math 24. The administration and staff love to see those events. Thank you for all that, and that is all I have.
Board, any question or comments for Dr. Hoden? Twice. Meeting reports. Sanders, we'll start with you.
Thank you all for all of the hard work. Stay strong. You want a great ending. So, thank you, Dr. Crawford, for hosting us. We like it. And
Yes, thank you, Dr. Crawford. Have a great day. The fifth and sixth graders here with their project. One time for me to get better.
So Central Virginia Go School didn't meet this month, but we should be getting means to our students for CBGS pretty soon. So I look forward to getting that information in May. I was very excited about the trout release. I tried 2 mornings to get there, and finally the second morning, my car just would not start. So I'm sorry to have missed that. My 13-year-old is really sorry to have missed that. It is truly one of the gems of Amherst County to live in an area that is so exquisite, a division that has community relationships so strong that our students have the opportunity to go out in the beauty and put their hands in the creek. And what stands out to me is their excitement at seeing the water, at seeing the butterflies, at seeing the school bus, at seeing the different kinds of organisms to evaluate their watershed and how it impacts the Chesapeake. And so I'm very sad to have missed it. I just want to speak to the staff appreciation meals. I've had the opportunity to participate in that the last several years for one event usually, maybe two. But what always stands out to me is the gratefulness of everyone that comes and gets a meal. It's like they're stunned you're there, and just you saying, I really appreciate what you do, just speaks volumes to these individuals. So I just want to say I'm looking forward to participating again. And Mr. Giles just getting up and speaking about the gym and sharing his view as an administrator, as a sportsman, and as someone who also has students. I just really appreciate him getting up and speaking on behalf to the board. And I just want to say this season is passing so fast, it feels like it was just September, and I'm thankful to be part of this community.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't have, but, I did get to go to Amherst Middle School for their play, the Willy Wonka Junior, they call it. And, you know, I do attend all the plays when they come up here, looking forward to Shrek, it's being advertised over there. The theater program here is awesome, but it's fed by the middle school programs. They do a phenomenal job to have a math teacher leading the theater program. So it's great to see it's not a theater person, it's somebody who's taking this on as a project. So it's great to see that come around. Yeah, and thanks everybody for the reports tonight. It's good to have it here at the full school every now and then. Yeah, I've shared these spaces. Once before, we tried to do it at all of the schools. We rotated it around and then COVID hit. So kind of put a kibosh on a lot of that. But sharing the wealth with our different schools and getting to see the programs and stuff, it's good to have. So I'm unfortunate not going to be able to attend. There's a lot of things at the end of the month. A lot of things going on that week. Wish it was a different week, but I do look forward to graduation coming up. Seniors, hang in there. Not much time left. Enjoy every minute of it.
Great, had been with you, the, um, as far as committees are concerned, Laurel is having a great thing this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. They're having a reunion. They're bringing back their past grad. So that's what they're exciting thing Saturday. I'm trying to get a whole lot going on Saturday. Just like how big and doesn't fit. And I did go to the SBA spring forum back in March. That's a great event. A lot of good speakers, a lot of good collaboration, and we are signed up to host that here at Ames High School in Naples. Propagating here to pull it into the best. So I'm excited about that opportunity. I want to say that I served on the board with this board. I'm very touched by the friend and she's a wonderful person to serve. Had lunch together, we had a good time. I saw Dr. Walker in the audience, and I believe him to kind of say he's your superintendent, but he left. Well, he's listening. I appreciate him coming out tonight to be a part of that resolution and we had dedicated, straight to the point about what needs to be going. It was good. I went to grandparents lunch day at Amblon, and that's a whole lot going on there. Lunch for the fourth and fifth grade, but well done, and so we had a good time talking with the people. So many grandparents, which used to be my friend, now we all grandparents. I was like, well, we can, but, I started with grandparents. We had a good time, so I look forward to the event that I can get to, in yeah. And I didn't see, talking of public comment, but I didn't see where my mind, and this middle school, and I would suggest that we put that on the agenda. Whatever we do, maybe not an agenda, but I would suggest that we have conversations about that. Told us quite a few times, tonight it expressed more about safety. Adequate look of it, so we mentioned safety and equity in this county, like all the middle schools, try to have the best experience, the same thing. No two areas are the same. If we can look at that, I think we spoke about it a little bit at Budget Street, but I think we definitely looking at that, and we've had quite a few times. So it is spring time, and yes, seniors, it's all good. Having down time, it's where, it's on a word about a week every day, it's really good. Congratulations about the seniors, program, and so on, so you can do it. Thank you for keeping the highlighted. Everything that's going on there.
But to keep things rolling here, it just seemed 2 or 3 meetings ago, we were talking about, first day of school. Wow, goodbye. It went incredibly quick. Seniors, hold on to these moments. Hold on to them. Keep them close because it'll be the best in the hearts. You need that challenge, make you better people. And spending time in your grade school, that sounds exciting. I had an opportunity to walk through the halls of my grade school, and it's a very emotional time, so embrace it, enjoy it. And it should set you up, be better people in life, and give you more focus on things that are really important. Yeah, embrace those times. Moments are short, but we have those little moments. Take advantage of those moments. It's some, no committee reports for you tonight. The, being here in the new cafeteria is, sure glad it's the new cafeteria, not the old one. What was that, the dungeon, is that what it was called? So I'm glad that's been resolved now. I'm looking forward to maybe taking a walk down, looking at what's going on over there in the welding wing. That's, some good things coming. And a lot of stuff happening this month, and I know that there's a lot of stuff going on, and we can't make all the events, but appreciate all the hard work that's put into them. That it definitely matters, and it's very important. These things happen and continue on. Here for a moment, and when the next generation comes through, they're gonna have their moments. Keep everybody rocking and rolling, so thank you all very much.
Thank you, board. I'll try and keep my comments brief. We should get out here about 8:30, I guess. So, as far as the Amherst Middle School gym, I think Dr. Oden, remind me, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we give you guys directions to look into that already?
Correct, and I have talked to Josh.
So you already told me that in the plan. Again, I do appreciate all the feedback and the people speaking. You know, somebody asked me, should I come talk? I'm like, yeah. Or, I mean, that's the only way it gets out there, and the more you hear about it, the more urgency you get. So, but we have already asked you guys to look at that and come up with some options and how we can best deal with it short term and long term. Correct.
Mr. Rhodes has taken some measurements, we'll look at a couple things, I'll talk to CRA, and give us some ideas of the ballpark of what gym would cost, and then, Mr. Rhodes and I look and see where, if we did that, what location that would be on the property.
And again, I say that to encourage people to come forward. If you have some questions, concerns, bring it forward because we do act on them when we do here. You may not see the board doing things, but I promise you, we listen, we hear, and you come to act responsibly. The other thing I would say is, I did get to work here in Amherst County when she was on. And I did get to, on several occasions, get together at her house. And it doesn't take a lot of time to know her heart and how passionate and dedicated she was to the school system, to our kids. And so, reading the resolution, it meant something to me because she was, I consider her a friend. And so, I'm happy to be able to read that in 2 words that I'm not very appreciative to her service to the school system and to our students. And then lastly, I want to talk about the budget process, and I do want to bring up the board of supervisors. Had several conversations with, I want the community to know board of supervisors are very aware of that. And I do know they want to support the schools to the best that they can. And it doesn't make it any easier when we can't tell them an exact number, right? And that's not our fault. It's because of what's coming from the state, or the lack of information coming from the state. But I want to emphasize that we have a great partnership between the school board and the board of supervisors, and they are deeply passionate about education in Harris County and wanting to support that as best they can. And so, I'm looking forward to working with them throughout the remainder of this budget season, so we can, once we get information back from the state, we're able to, finalize our budget process and begin this new fiscal year and be helping to bring about the best school system that we can for our county and our students. And I know, again, that's one of the reasons why we all serve on the school. I wanted to make sure I shared that and I heard some negative comments about the board supervisors not supporting the school system. Comments, and that's just absolutely not the case. Thank you to them for their support. Done what they will do. That I will entertain a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion on that? Mr. Rossi? All right, all those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.